The Synod of Synodality in October 2024 is marked by a series of unusual events and astronomical coincidences that have generated curiosity and speculation. Just when the last session of this event will be held, the sky will show two impressive phenomena: a solar eclipse in the form of a ring of fire and the appearance of the comet of the century. This celestial alignment coincides with a synod that promises to revolutionize key aspects of Catholic doctrine, specifically the redefinition of what is considered sin. These coincidences have not gone unnoticed, as throughout history, moments of great spiritual significance have been accompanied by astronomical phenomena, leading some to interpret these events as divine signs. If you enjoy content that helps you grow spiritually, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our community for more inspiration. Let's get started. The central theme of the Synod is synodality, a concept that promotes the participation of all members of the Church in decision-making processes, including women, lay people, and representatives of other religions. This interreligious approach reinforces Pope Francis's message that all religions lead to God, a statement that continues to be debated within and outside the Church. The invitation to leaders of other religions is a clear example of how the Vatican seeks to foster interreligious dialogue, which some see as positive for unity, while others perceive it as a threat to the doctrinal purity of Catholicism. But what has really captured attention is the possibility that the Vatican will introduce new sins during this synod. What does this mean in a world where moral values are in constant transformation? How will the creation of new sins affect the faithful and the global perception of the Catholic Church? First of all, the introduction of new sins reflects an adaptation to modern times. In an increasingly digitized and globalized world, issues such as ecology, transparency, and accountability have become central to ethical discussions. The Instrumentum Laboris, or working document of the Synod, highlights the importance of addressing issues such as transparency in the Church, which is directly related to the recent abuse scandals and the growing demand for accountability on the part of Church leaders. On the other hand, for more conservative sectors, these changes could be interpreted as a break with the traditions that have defined Catholic morality for centuries. The possible elimination of some traditional sins, such as those related to sexuality, has generated concern among those who believe that the Church's fundamental values are in danger. For others, however, this is an opportunity for the Church to modernize and move closer to contemporary realities, emphasizing care for the environment and treatment of the most vulnerable. In addition, the Synod will include a penance for sins committed against synodality, which reinforces the Church's focus on self-examination and reconciliation. This symbolic act is a way of demonstrating that the Church is willing to reform from within, acknowledging its mistakes and seeking solutions to the challenges of the present. The impact of this synod goes beyond the theological. Just as the United Nations is redefining human rights for the 21st century, the Vatican seems ready to redefine sin in response to today's challenges. If you feel that this is the time to understand your faith, to align your actions with the new challenges facing the world, and that the Church herself is recognizing, there is a special resource waiting for you. This is exactly what The Secret of Jesus' Apparitions offers: a path to clarity and peace through his revelations. This ebook delves into his prophecies and offers a glimpse of what lies ahead. It is available for free in the anchored commentary. Grab it now before editions run out. It is the perfect opportunity to reflect and grow at a crucial time. This evolution raises crucial questions. Is the Catholic Church prepared to face the consequences of these changes? And how will the faithful react to a possible transformation of the moral foundations of Christianity? Astronomical events coinciding with this process seem to underscore the magnitude of the moment, leading many to wonder if we are facing a spiritual change as momentous as the signs in the sky suggest. 2024 has witnessed several astronomical phenomena that coincide with key moments of social change and transformation around the world. The second solar eclipse of the year, scheduled for October 2nd, is just one of them and marks the beginning of the final session of the Synod of Synodality, an event that could define the direction of the Catholic Church in a rapidly changing world. One of the highlights surrounding this synod is its coincidence with the Great Reset promoted by the World Economic Forum, WEF, and global leaders such as Klaus Schwab. This concept, which seeks the merging of our physical, digital, and biological identities, promises systemic change driven by technology. Schwab and other leaders argue that the world is entering a new era marked by 5 key transformations: the transition to a green economy, an aging population, increasing social polarization, misinformation, and the technological revolution. These changes are not only affecting political and economic systems, but are also redefining the way we live and work. In parallel, as global society faces these transitions, the Catholic Church is also being challenged to modernize, especially on issues such as inclusiveness and synodality. This synod, guided by Timothy Radcliffe's meditations and preceded by 2 days of spiritual retreat, seeks to discuss how the Church can adapt to these changes without losing its essence. Figures such as Pope Francis have advocated a more inclusive approach, arguing that all religions lead to God, which has been a source of debate both within and outside the Catholic community. As for the transformations driven by the WEF, the merging of our physical, biological and digital identities could drastically change the way we understand spirituality and morality. This fourth industrial revolution is already affecting several sectors, from the use of artificial intelligence to advances in biotechnology and robotics. The intersection of these technological developments with the evolution of religious teachings raises important questions. How might the Catholic Church respond to these challenges? Will it be able to integrate these changes into its teachings without compromising its core values? In short, the Synod of Synodality 2024 takes place at a time of intense global transformation, not only within the Church, but also in society as a whole. As the Synod moves toward fully reflection on new sins, don't forget that you can delve even farther by downloading our ebook. Copies are limited, so be sure to get yours before they sell out. At a moment when faith and technology appear to have more in common than ever before, these societal and astronomical phenomena are converging, paving the way for a rethinking of humanity and, maybe, faithfulness. In the latest session of the Synod of Synodality, we glimpse an interesting dynamic involving both conservative and progressive figures within the Catholic Church, reflecting a deliberate effort by Pope Francis to maintain a balance in the discussions. On the one hand, figures such as Cardinal Gerhard Müller, former prefect of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, and Juan Ignacio Arrieta, key members of Opus Dei who represent the more traditional sectors of the Church, stand out. However, their presence contrasts with that of more progressive figures, such as Father James Martin, known for his defense of the rights of the LGBT community within the Church, and Vincenzo Paglia, Archbishop and one of the Pope's closest collaborators. This attempt by Francis to include both conservative and progressive voices is not a novelty in his pontificate, but in this synod, the tension between the two sectors is more evident than ever. Father James Martin has been particularly controversial for his views on the inclusion of LGBT people in church life. as have other attendees such as Cardinal McElroy and Archbishop Paglia, who have advocated for greater openness towards same-sex marriage and communion for divorced and remarried Catholics. The inclusion of these voices, which in other times would have been considered radical, underscores the Pope's desire to openly confront these debates. In addition, the participation of lay people, activists, and theologians in the Synod is an important development. Luca Casarini, an Italian activist, is one of the names that has generated controversy, having been convicted of misuse of donations. However, his current work with Mediterranean Saving Humans, an NGO dedicated to saving lives in the Mediterranean, has given him a space at this event. The inclusion of voices such as his reflects the Synod's intention to listen to a wide range of perspectives, not only within the church hierarchy, but also from the lay base. The Synod is also marked by discussions of structural issues within the church. The Instrumentum Laboris, the guiding document for the last phase of the Synod, has left out some of the most burning issues discussed at the October 2023 meeting, such as the ordination of women as deacons and priestly celibacy. These issues, rather than being addressed directly, have been delegated to various study groups formed at the end of last year, suggesting that the Vatican prefers that these discussions be conducted in a more controlled and deliberative manner. As Pope Francis presides at the penitential vigil, it is a good time to reflect and download this special e-book. Don't miss your chance. There are only a few units left. However, the main focus of this synod has not only been on doctrinal issues, but on how the Church can adapt to today's challenges. The Pope insisted on the importance of synodality, which implies greater participation of the laity in ecclesiastical decision-making. This concept seeks to break with the traditional hierarchical structure of the Church, promoting a broader dialogue among all its members. This is reflected in the proposal to create a ministry dedicated to listening and accompaniment, which would allow the laity to have a more active voice in economic and administrative matters within the Church. Despite these modernization efforts, the inclusion of conservative figures such as Müller and Arietta shows that the Pope has not completely abandoned traditional concerns. By including these leaders in the Synod, Francis seems to be attempting to create a space for dialogue where tensions within the Church can be debated without completely breaking with its historical foundations. Critics, nevertheless, have pointed out that the current Catholic Church is severely fractured, and this duality in representation might not be enough to heal the wounds. The context in which the Synod is taking place is equally significant. As the Church discusses how to adapt to the challenges of the 21st century, it also faces the growing pressures of a global society experiencing unprecedented polarization, increased misinformation and transformation driven by technology and globalization. In this sense, the Church is not exempt from these changes, and the outcome of this synod could significantly influence its future, both internally and in its interaction with the outside world. This synod, marked by diverse and sometimes conflicting voices, represents a crossroads for the Church. The decisions made in this forum could determine not only its direction in the coming decades, but also how it faces contemporary challenges. Synodality, at its core, seeks to promote open dialogue, but the question remains whether this dialogue will be sufficient to maintain unity in a Church that is so ideologically divided over its values and direction. The final part of the Synod of Synodality, in October 2024, will be marked by important events, including an ecumenical prayer service on October 11th, a key date as it coincides with the 62nd anniversary of the Second Vatican Council and almost 60 years since the publication of the decree Unitatis Redintegratio on ecumenism. This event symbolizes Pope Francis's focus on unity among different religions, which has generated an increase in religious delegations from 12 to 16 compared to previous sessions. Another highlight of this phase of the Synod will be the penitential vigil on October 1st in St. Peter's Basilica, presided over by Pope Francis. This vigil will be a key moment of reflection and prayer, where testimonies will be heard from people who have suffered the effects of modern sins such as abuse, war, and indifference to the migration crisis. With the Synod's focus on conversion and reconciliation, this e-book is the perfect tool to accompany you in this process. Download it before the remaining copies run out. This ceremony will not only be a call to forgiveness and reconciliation, but also a manifestation of the Church's new approaches to sin, moving away from traditional doctrinal conceptions towards sins that reflect contemporary social problems. Among these new sins publicly recognized during the vigil are sins against creation, against peace, and abuse of indigenous peoples and migrants. Also mentioned are the sin against the family, the use of doctrine as stones to attack others, and the so-called sin against synodality, related to the lack of listening, communion, and participation of all members of the Church. If this message makes you reflect and you feel it connects with you, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Also, if you really want to support our work and help us continue creating valuable content, consider giving us a super thanks. Join this amazing community and don't miss any news. These themes show a clear orientation towards the current challenges facing humanity, such as environmental destruction and growing social inequality. In fact, the Synod seeks to generate a dialogue that allows the Church to respond to these problems with a renewed look, adapting to the needs of the modern world without losing sight of its spiritual mission. With these acts, the Synod of Synodality not only marks a stage of self-reflection, but also points to a future where the Church will be more inclusive and receptive to marginalized voices such as youth, women, and migrants.